Hello and welcome to Witches of the Moon. Happy Dia de los Muertos. I'm Eva Maria, I'm your Sunday co-host, and this week the topic has been black magic. The problem with this topic is that in this topic there's the subject of the terminology, and then there's the question of what this terminology aims to convey. Some people use the term black magic to convey baneful workings. To those people, the term black magic, it conveys and illustrates what they see as negative workings. It's, I suppose, the best way that they know how to get across their view of what they see as, magic that is of an evil sort. But like all terms and labels, there's the problem that words can only do so much. Words like this, expressions like this, they're limiting and kind of subjective. Usually the term black magic is used in a descriptive way, but sometimes it can be used in a derogatory or judgmental sort of way. Because, if you really think about it, what is black magic really? The answer that you're going to get is going to depend on who you ask. So there's that aspect to the question of black magic. My view personally is that while there are workings that can be more or less positive, given the situation, given like the circumstances, depending on a lot of things, and there can be more or less positive workings depending, but I don't see magic as a thing that is black and white, or any other color for that matter. But it's kind of like looking at life. Life is not black and white either. I feel that a lot of the people that subscribe to the terminology, black magic and white magic, I think that maybe those are the same people that tend to have very hardline views of what they view as morally right and morally wrong, in the sense of they almost view life as black and white. They have a hard time, I think, with the idea, the concept that a lot of things can kind of fall in between, or there are some complexities. It's not all just like this way and that way. That's just not the way that things are. And besides, excuse me, I'm sorry, this is like my first cup of coffee of the day, and I'm just like, I need this so much. And besides, the power that practitioners are utilizing in the works that they cast, it's one power. I'm of the school of thought that there is one universal power that we draw on, that we all as practitioners will direct for whatever ends we are seeking to manifest. Whatever is the means to the end, we are drawing on this same power. And it is only in the intention put on the power, it is in the act of directing that power that it becomes maybe more or less, positive, depending, what that intention that is directing it, that is shaping it, that is, it's the spin we put on it, is what I'm trying to say, that really makes it more or less positive. And as for the question of, should we do negative things or not? Again, that's really subjective. What is considered negative? What is not considered negative? It's subjective. It's going to depend on who you ask. I look at things this way. I saw Nimbus's video where he was saying basically, and forgive me if I misunderstood, but I understood that what he was trying to say is that a witch should know how to cast negative, workings, because you need that to kind of be well-rounded. That was his view. I do agree with that concept. I think you should know. Whether you do that or not is a whole nother matter, but to know how to cast those things, to know about those things, it's important. I really do feel that it's important, because I do think that it does well-round you. And also, I don't believe in the rule of 3. Instead, I don't believe like, oh, there's a set amount that when you do something bad, it's going to come back to you, and that's set amount. That's not how I view it myself. I look at it like this. There are consequences to everything you do, good or bad. Consequences. And this exists in life, and this exists in the magic that you do. If I walk down the street and I punch somebody in the face, they're probably going to do something in return. Usually there's a consequence of some kind. They're either going to hit me back, or they're going to press charges, or something is going to happen. Something's going to come out of the fact that I punched that person in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, B follows A. It's just the way that things go. So I have always felt that no matter what you do, it's your business to decide what you need to do. I can't tell you what you need to do and when. But I always have felt that it's important to have forethought, to think like, how is this going to affect people? How is this going to, even if you were to direct something negative at a particular person, how is that going to affect the people around that person? Like if you go and you curse somebody, oh, I'm going to curse your finances and you're never going to make any money. How's that going to affect that person's kids who didn't do anything to you? How's that going to affect that person's spouse? Or anybody that's, around them that really had nothing to do with your situation. You may want to consider that. And you may want to consider in working things like that, or even in working positive things. Like you always want to think about like what is the potential consequence, good or bad, or the consequences that are more likely to come out of this, the possibilities. You want to have some forethought and really think about that, because, you can stop things from happening, but once things have been put in motion, once things are done, they're done. You can't like take them back. I'm not saying that spells can't be unworked, but there are things that can't be like unfelt, or there are things that can't, it's not like you can just like, okay, let's just totally get hypothetical here. If you make someone get really sick and die, well, you can't really unkill them, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to think about the things that you do, because I think while, how can I explain this? It's like I have a feeling, I have a thought, I want to convey it. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think of the best way to put it. While there is a time and place for everything, I think it is upon us individually to have the discretion and the tact and the wisdom to know what is the right action to take in our unique situation. Only you really know what the right thing to do is, and to what degree, should you, work to, I mean, there are degrees, I think, in working, baneful works, like the punishment should fit the crime, if you know what I'm trying to say. And again, consider the consequences, because I do think that everything has a consequence. And you have to, you have to really, you have to know your work. You have to, I feel, know. You have to know, you have to know yourself. You have to know your work. You have to really get, how can I explain it? You really have to cultivate the wisdom to know what to do and when and why and how. That's how I look at it. Forethought, I think, is very important. And one thing that I recommend to people when they're, in a situation is, I think it's best when you're going to cast anything. You should never knee-jerk into your work. I think, though you may have an initial feeling of, I want to do this, you should always take a moment to step back from that and objectively assess what you're planning to do. Maybe do some divination before you do whatever you're going to do, whether it's more positive or less positive. I think you should, because there are consequences, good and bad, in everything you do, even in life. As I've said before, don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I really, really believe that. And I've experienced, myself, the that whole lesson of, I used to knee-jerk react a lot, and usually, in fact, I can't remember a good outcome of knee-jerk reactive casting. I can't really remember in the past when I used to do that there was ever a positive outcome to that. I think it's better really to assess. And that's why, I think, honestly, that's why a lot of witches keep notebooks, and they do, like, plan out the things that they're going to do. It is a way to assess before you actually, like, wah, huzzah, like, you want to take that moment to be like, okay, what am I planning to do? Is this the best course of action? What can potentially happen here? Good or bad? And, divination is a good resource in assessing objectively, I think. So, these are my views. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And I hope I wasn't too repetitive. It's hard to cover a topic at the end of a topic week without beating a dead horse or without saying what others have already said. But these are my thoughts, these are my views on the topic of black magic as a terminology that some people use. I don't like that terminology, really. I mean, maybe I've used it in the past because, hey, words, people will reach for whatever word they think that they can, best express something with. Though the words are limited. Words often can't convey what people mean to convey, or they don't, always capture the feeling or the idea that one wants to convey very well. But this is my view, and I hope my view has made some sense, and I hope that I have brought something beneficial to the topic at hand. I hope I have said things that complement what our other co-hosts and hosts have said. And with that, again, I wish you a very happy Dia de los Muertos. And till our next exchange, blessed be in Ashe.